He might be back. You should look up Virginia Tech, the one where Clemson struggle wins by 35 to Virginia Tech, part two. Um,
Gosh.
Still waiting for. Okay, Facebook's up now. It takes a few minutes.
There it is.
So I'm gonna back up here, and we'll do part two here. And Alan, I had to try it. I mean,
You didn't have
can you
to
really
try.
blame me for trying it?
Very much so, and I will absolutely. Are we like live so that people can hear us talking?
We're
Okay,
on
so
the
that's good
screen.
to know. See, that would
Yeah,
be helpful information from a producer.
yeah, we're on.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
red. You don't see the red light? We are on, and we're live. We're in front of the screen. So the thing is, I tried to play highlights. Back in the day, we could play highlights like nobody's business. But I guess with COVID, um, it kind of, they said, well, we're going to cut this out. But,
Can
so
you
it
see
can't,
the stream on Facebook, by the way? Because I'm seeing a spinning little thingamajig.
yeah, we got 8 people. You're going to have to back out or something.
Well, this is like
But
the third time backing out. So I want everybody to
we
know if
got
I don't
10.
get to your comments, it's Morgan's fault as usual. Because everything was working great until he decided to do contraband. This is ridiculous.
People on YouTube asking what happened. Well, I tried to play some highlights,
Morgan happened.
but, it worked. It worked for
Relabel
a
the
few
show.
minutes.
The one where Morgan happened.
So, one note if you ever want to produce content online, and that is that you better not play any Whitney Houston songs. Found that out. Found that out last month. Better not play any Whitney Houston songs, and you better just count your seconds before you get kicked from playing highlights. So there you go. Well, but we do have some photos going up for you. But all right, so we're talking about Virginia Tech. We're gonna get back into Virginia Tech talk. Thank you for jumping in on Facebook. Got a ton of people back in, on YouTube. Make sure you like it and share it. This was my whole plan to get more content out there. I'm just having the same show get republished more than once. But so we were talking about Virginia Tech. We were talking about how Clemson, not only did they stop Virginia Tech, which was a primarily amazing rushing team, they stopped them in the rushing game or held them to the worst rushing of the year. And then Clemson, on the other hand, had one of their best rushing games. And then we were talking about Lynn J. Dixon, and you mentioned that people don't focus as much on Lynn J. Dixon as they do Travis Etienne. But for me, though, I was glad to see Trevor Lawrence with 7 carries and 2 touchdowns, because I'm starting to feel like that if this team is going to win in the playoffs, Trevor Lawrence has got to be a huge factor in the run game. He cannot be a third or fourth choice. He has got to be maybe even your first running back. And I hate to say that because I don't want the guy to get injured, but he is that important to getting people away from Travis Etienne. And he provides that threat of passing the ball that Travis Etienne does not. And I will say, Al, it's still frustrating to see Clemson run the ball up the middle with Travis Etienne when there are 9 people in the box. I almost feel like on the goal line when I think it was the series where he threw the interception, but
Yes,
they initially tried to run the ball up the middle with 9 guys in the box. I just don't understand that. And that doesn't happen very often, but it's just like we hear Dabo Swinney come out in his press conference and say, well, they're focused on Travis Etienne. Well, when they focus on him, why are we running the ball straight up the middle into it? That's my only thought. And that's pure as a fan. But
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I was thinking the same thing. We were here watching the game with Marty. He actually left the room, and I came back, and I was like, "You won't believe what we did on 2nd and 9." And he was like, "Let me guess, run up the middle." Like, exactly. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it just puts you in such a bad position And I just don't understand why we would do that. I mean, it's a longer pass. It's not that Trevor Lawrence can't make a throw from the 9-yard line or whatever it was. It's not a big deal for him. But I mean, anytime you got to throw it a little bit farther, you got a little bit more time for the defense to react, and that's what happened. He stared down his receiver, and the guy was Diablo was playing on the other side of the field, and he comes all the way over because he sees Lawrence staring at him the entire time. Lawrence did not have a very good game on this against Virginia Tech. It was kind of tough to watch. But yeah, we've kind of given Tony Elliott the runaround this year. Me and Houston in particular, some of his play calls. But look, I'll tell you this about Tony Elliott. Even though I don't necessarily agree with his offensive philosophy, we'll say maybe he's holding back, maybe he's vanilla during the year. I don't mind being vanilla during the year. I really don't. But the problem is when you have these games that are close, okay? Maybe you think in the end you'll pull away, that's fine. But when they come close to costing you a game because of a vanilla playbook, that bothers me. Because it could lose your spot, if the playoffs, if the ball bounces the wrong way once or twice. That's just the way it goes. But in championship games and in playoff games, he really seems to open that playbook up and kind of get creative. And that's what we're looking for. And look, as long as we keep winning during the regular season, it's no big deal. But when you slip up and lose that game that makes you not make the playoff, that's when it's a problem. And it hasn't happened yet, thank goodness, because we've just been that much more talented than everybody else.
46 points per game, 5th in the country.
Yeah,
so,
and nobody's going to argue the points per game. Look, that's the thing. That's what everybody wants to bring up. Well, you're beating everybody. You're setting these scoring records. I was like, I understand that. It's not crazy, but it is crazy to run up the middle with 9 men in the box. That's a fact. that is not going to be a successful play in football if you've ever watched football. Just because we're scoring a lot of points don't mean there aren't bad play calls. There are. And there's been some very good play calls. I liked a couple of his calls in this game in particular. But I did think he ran up the middle a couple times too many. But other than that, I really didn't have a huge problem with his play calling. It was I had more of a problem with Trevor Lawrence and his decision making in this game. The interception, for one, he threw in a triple coverage. He tried to, at the very last second, throw a ball in like 3rd and 6 when the guy was standing out of bounds. Braden Galloway was standing out of bounds. He tried to throw it to him instead of running. Lawrence had a rough game. It was not the Heisman-worthy performance we were really hoping for to kind of get him back in that discussion and kind of put him on a more level playing field with Kyle Trask and Mac Jones. I was really hoping for more out of him from Virginia Tech.
Passing stats. We talked about the great rushing stats. We talked about the great run stopping stats. Passing, though, as you're mentioning, 195 yards passing with 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, compared, that is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 436 against Pittsburgh, 439 against Notre Dame, 342 Boston College, 308 against Syracuse, 500 against Georgia Tech, 292 Miami, 329 Virginia, 243 Citadel, and 376 against Wake Forest, but only 195 against Virginia Tech. Yeah, something wasn't really clicking there. And it is tough because, to be honest with you, I mean, you look at what Trevor Lawrence has, thank goodness for Cornell Powell. I said this on Twitter. Cornell Powell is one of the few things that I want to remember from 2020. That and losing 30 pounds on Weight Watchers. But, I mean, that guy come out of nowhere for 2020. Yeah. But he really, Amari Rodgers, and then there's really like no one else, unfortunately. I mean, we want to talk about, Brandon Spector, maybe the next, he's wearing 13. That's cute and everything. But Ngata, not on the field. Ladson, not on the field. EJ Williams, really, did he do anything? I mean,
no,
I
not
didn't
at all.
see
I didn't even
him.
think he was playing for a while.
I don't. Yeah, he doesn't have a catch. But Davis Allen had a pretty decent, first down, but only got two receptions on the night. Yep. And then Braden Galloway only 1 reception, which was a 49-yard reception. Marched him down the field really quick early on in the game, which was kind of confusing to me. If you're limited in your wide receivers, I'm sure, and I'm not saying this that like Tony Elliott's not going to do this, but I would almost expect there to be some tight end usage more. Now I know our friend Ellis Tolbert says bank on the tight ends. You didn't bank on him last weekend, so where were they? I don't know what happened there, and maybe they were there to help Clemson actually get that running game going. Or maybe it's kind of what Dabo has been saying. We'll take what you give us. But the problem that I get concerned with is when you get to a point where you're against we're always, because we're so spoiled and being in the playoffs for so many times, this is the monster that Dabo has created. But the problem is I'm looking at the other games, the other teams that are potential, and I'm like, well, there's not as many take what you can get moments against Alabama or Ohio State or even Notre Dame again, so you can't come out flat for 3.5 quarters.
That's going to be a big problem.
You got to be very careful with that. I mean, if you're expecting that to still be in the game with 17 points in the third quarter against Alabama, that makes me scared. Okay.
Yeah.
Because by late in the third quarter, I would expect Alabama to have a lot of points, considering what they're doing. And so,
absolutely,
it goes back to like looking at what's ahead. And I know that that's not what Dabo is supposed to do, but for fans, that's what we do.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I got to go back to this, and this is one of the arguments I hate. And Al Kuhn, you are better than this comment, my friend. Okay, so Al gets in here and says, guys, is there an OC out there that has a better record than Tony Elliott? Look, don't give me that. You've got to tell me why his play calls are good or bad. I don't care about his record. Al, this is not a shot at your intelligence, but you can go in there with Clemson's players and score 45 points a game. It's that simple. You can do it. I know you can. I believe in you, Al. You can do that. I think there's a lot of people that can go score this many points with these players. It's about the fact that when it's 2nd and 9 and the box is loaded, you don't run it up the middle. All right, we've done a lot of that this year.
And that could have been a check. It could have been a check problem. It could have been quarterback.
Yeah, it's something we've run into all year. Okay, and again, this is not to say you can't win several ways. It's not to say you can't be vanilla. I understand holding stuff back for big games. I get that, and I don't have a problem with that. Really, again, it's when the games are tight. It's when the games are still in question that it becomes a problem. And this game at that point was still in question. It was a tight score. Clemson had not looked great. Virginia Tech had looked better than average. It's bitten us in the past in certain games. Like Pitt beat us at home. You have that game every now and then where somebody sneaks up and beats you and is not supposed to. But yeah, don't give me the record stuff. Don't give me he's got the record scoring, okay? Because I think there's a person out there right now with this team that can score 50 points a game, 55 points a game, okay? We've got weapons, and hey, look, credit to him for this year, okay? In particular, I've given him a hard time for several years now, but he's working with a very different animal this year. He doesn't have Justin Ross. He was supposed to. He doesn't have Ngata or Ladson, who were supposed to be kind of the next in line at wide receiver U. He hasn't had that, and he's still made it work for the most part. I think Elliott has done a better job this year than in the past based on the talent he has around him. I understand he's got Trevor Lawrence. Everybody knows that. But the wide receivers are not there. They're simply not there. He can't throw the 50-50 balls this year. It's not as easy a game plan because T. Higgins isn't there to go get it. So it's been a little bit tougher this year. So I do like to give him a little more leeway than I have been. But still, some of the calls I just question, and I'm not the only one for sure. There's a lot of Clemson fans that question it, and then there's a lot of Clemson fans that talk about how crazy we are for questioning it. So it's a lot of fun back and forth, getting different opinions from all the Tiger fans. Look, one thing we have in common: we want Clemson to win, and we want them to win it all.
Look, get in the chat, all right? If you're on YouTube, thank you for coming back in. Get in the chat. We got a ton of people over on Facebook just schooling you right now with the chat. So thank you so much, Facebook. YouTube, I need to see you. I need to see you if you're there. Sebastian giggled. Get in there. Get in the chat. Talk to us. We want to know what your thoughts are on this Virginia Tech game. Some other things I wrote down. Clemson only had 433 yards overall, right? And I was worried about this because you're looking at 8 touchdowns. The Tar Heels scored 8 touchdowns on these guys. Okay? 656 yards, 8 touchdowns, 31 first downs. Louisville, 548 yards, 5 touchdowns, 23 first downs. Liberty, 466, 5 touchdowns, 29 first downs. Pittsburgh, 556, 5 touchdowns, 30 first downs. And then you have Clemson, 433, 5 touchdowns, 19 first downs. So, and Dabo mentioned this, and even Cornell Powell mentioned this after the game. They only had like 2 possessions in the first quarter, it seemed like. I mean, that was literally it. They had nothing going for them. And so I think it was They said something about 2 possessions in the first quarter or first half or something like that. But if you look at it, only 19 first downs. But they ended up with the same amount of touchdowns as all the other teams that blew them out or scored a ton of points on them as well. So for me, at first, when the game was tight, 17-10, I was worried about that. But this Clemson team showed you that they are they have more depth. You know, people always like to talk about depth. They have more depth than teams like Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. They have the ability to get like a Ches Malusi out there and a Darren Rencher and just go nuts on you with fresh legs. So that's what's going for them. I would say that Clemson is it's a good sign to see late in the season. Clemson only needs 19 first downs to score as many touchdowns as some of these teams who needed 30. So they're able to do more with less. Mm-hmm. And even Powell mentioned that they realized that and they had to make adjustments. And, you know, to be honest with you, here's something that I love to see from Powell, the push-off. I mean, old school, Rod Gardner. He reminds me of Rod Gardner. I mean,
Rod Gardner didn't push off.
Rod Gardner did not push off unless you're wearing a different color. But
gosh, I hope Dylan's still in here.
But the thing is and he is. But the thing is Rod Gardner. Have you seen him now? I mean, the dude is in better shape than he was in college. The guy is super buff, right? Got like a 12-pack of abs. All right. So Rod Gardner, but Cornell Powell is built the same way. He's super buff. That dude is jacked and is in the weight room all the time. I like it when Cornell Powell got that offensive pass interference because that might have been his problem. He might have been worried too much about playing correctly and not playing dirty when some of it is just part of playing the game. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I want to see him be aggressive and push people and things like that. You know, when I played soccer, now I know that you're going to laugh at me about talking about soccer at this point. This is a terrible segue to soccer. But, you know, when I first started into it, and we played some of the bigger teams in the upstate, and they would just physically push me around with their arms. This was like my first year playing.
Yeah.
I went to coach and I said, "What's the deal? Like, I thought you couldn't use your arms." And he's like, "Oh no, you can push the crap out of anybody as long as the ref don't see it."
Yeah.
And I mean, really, you need to get position and you need to work on angles, and that's what's important, is being in the right place. And sometimes you got to kind of, you know, make your way, if you will, to the front of the line. So, now, did he get called? He got called, but I think more often than not, he won't get called. I think the same goes for like DK and AJ Terrell and all those great guys, Mackenzie Alexander, all those great guys at cornerback. I want to see a little pushing. I mean, you call it. You're the ref, but you know, I don't want to see holding. You know, I don't want to see blatant holding. I think our team is more talented than that, but I definitely want to see some aggressiveness, especially from Cornell Powell, considering he doesn't have anybody. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, if he doesn't have Cornell Powell, then he really, I mean, he's got the cupboard's kind of barren right now. So I want to see that, and I want to see those tight ends get involved a little more, as we talked about before. But get in the chat. Let us know what you think over on Facebook, YouTube. Mark Childers gets in on YouTube, says, "You play to win the game." Welcome in, Mark. I appreciate it. Yeah, you do play to win the game. You play to win the game.
The game.
But yeah, I'm liking Tyler Davis. I'm liking Braden Galloway. Wish he was used a little bit more. I liked Lynn J. Dixon. I like Trevor Lawrence running. Oh, Miles Murphy. Wrote him down. Hadn't said anything about him yet with the forced fumble there. Wrapping up. I'm liking that too, because that was key, because that was right after the interception. Got the forced fumble, and then Trevor Lawrence went and ran it in. And I didn't actually write this down. One of the problems, but I didn't write down the grades, but we'll still do the grades. I'll do them on the fly. But Vonta Bentley, you know, you got to feel good when you and I have talked all spring about Kane Patterson, Jake Venables, which he's got broken his arm, so he's not playing anymore. But Kane Patterson, Keith McGuire, and Vonta Bentley out there. Only guy we're missing, and we miss you so much, is Brighton Constantine. We would have loved to have seen you out on the field, but, you know, it is what it is. But Man, those three guys out there. And Bentley, to see number 42, I don't care who it is, but just to see a number 42 blazing across the field, tackling the quarterback, and then also sacking the quarterback, it all is right in the world in Clemson universe when a 42 is making big plays on the field.
Yeah, look, this guy was wreaking havoc when he got in there. I don't know if his like knowledge of the defense is not that good yet, but Levante Bentley is doing great. I mean, this guy is like a heat-seeking missile when he's out there. I want to see more of him on the field for sure. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and tell you he is my defensive player of the game. It says he has 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. And the only look, I mean, there's several you could choose from here. Turner had a great game as well, and there's a couple others you could focus on. But just the fact that when he comes in, he makes something happen. That's why I gave him that honor this time. So it was good to see that from him. I gave the defense a C+, by the way. It's a really bad first half for Clemson. Again, I'm used to them being able to stop the run. Davis was there, Skowski was there, and they were still able to run it down our throats on the first series. So that was kind of tough. But they came back strong in the second half. I should probably, it could be argued, B minus, something like that. But I'm a little tough on them sometimes.
Yeah, I got to go with Vonta Bentley as well. I mean, like you said, 4 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. I would say up there, Miles Murphy, 7 total tackles and 1 tackle for loss, another forced fumble. No interceptions, but still a great game. And then Nolan Turner, as you mentioned, man, 12 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, all over the field. The guy's been great this year. But Miles, Bentley, those 2 guys I felt like stood out more. And then, like I said, when you see 42 running all over the field, you got to give him some props. So big-time props to Levante Bentley there. For offense, it's hard to say. It really is. I mean, I guess I could go with Cornell Powell. I say Cornell Powell in the sense that he got the pass interference against him, and then the next series came out and got the touchdown. So that was really fun to see. But I'm actually going to give it to Lynn J. Dixon because he got a touchdown. He only had 3 carries. He made the most out of the carries that he had, and he did look really good, 12 yards per carry, and he was able to bring a little bit of a different style of offense or different style of run game to the offense that was needed, considering that, again, it's just tough under the traditional ways.
Right. And look, I gave the offense a B-, and most of that was on our man Trevor Lawrence. I talked about it, kind of a rough game that he had. But I thought the run game did good. Look, we didn't have a lot of opportunities to score, but we came up with 45 points. It was just the game that Virginia Tech forced us to play. And like I said, kudos to them for that game plan. Jason Trammell, we're going to talk about Jason Trammell in just a minute, but he gets in and says, give it to Rencher. Well, Jason Trammell, that's exactly what I did. Goodness. My offensive player of the game was Darian Rencher. One rush, 50 yards to the house.
To the house.
Got to show Rencher some love. The Disney Spirit Award winner, kudos to him for that as well. But it was great to see him get in there and bust up the line like that and just take it to the house. It was awesome.
That's the way I am when I play. Don't give me any opportunities. Allen's a ball hog, as you probably have guessed, but don't give me any opportunities. But when I do, I make the most of it. I'm the Darian Rencher of church basketball. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, don't appease the fans on this, Al. This is not your show, okay?
Hey, it's written here. It was already set in stone.
Rencher made the most out of the carries he had. Yes, he did. That's true. So I guess, I'm getting called out for my incorrect speech there, considering that Rencher was 50 yards average. So that is the most out of the carries that you have. I get it. Yeah, you're right. He also won the Disney Spirit Award. So, I mean, kudos to him. Great guy all around, on and off the field. Nice to have him as a Tiger, which that's what you expect from a Clemson Tiger is great success on and off the field. But yeah, so that's our Virginia Tech recap, thoughts, emotional outbursts, concerns, really no concerns. Just for me, again, I'll reiterate, Trevor Lawrence has got to run the ball more as the postseason goes on, because that's, to me, what I feel like Clemson gets their most success from. We're not going to talk about Clemson versus Notre Dame because Clemson has a week to rest up and get everybody ready to go, and then the game is on the 19th. So not this weekend, but next weekend. But we are going to talk about our picks against the spread. But before we do, our picks against the spread, let me tell you about our next sponsor, and that is Daniel Weber State Farm, 518 College Avenue, Suite 190, Clemson, South Carolina, 29631. Check him out, Daniel Weber State Farm, 864-722-9083. Again, Daniel Weber 8 Farm, insuringclemson.com for all your insurance needs, auto, home, property, business, health. Go check him out. Really great guy, a friend of ours from high school, I believe. Al, we've known him that long, which is crazy to say, but great guy, Clemson grad, class of 2011, fourth generation Clemson University graduate, by the way. So some Google reviews for you. This is a wonderful place to get your insurance. Anytime I need anything, they call me first. They're so proactive in helping. The office is amazing. Customer service always goes the extra mile. It's a comfort to know that they're the ones I call if I have any questions. I feel like they're my top priority. Thank you for that review, Rachel. We really appreciate it. Just a few months ago, got her insurance from Daniel Weber State Farm. And then Al, tell us about our next sponsor as well.
I can definitely do that. Heating Cooling Services, Inc. They are family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller or anything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, or nice and warm in your home or business this winter, give Heating Cooling Services Inc. a call. You're going to want to talk to Mark or Jason Trammell. That number is 864-224-7655. Again, that number is 864-224-7655. And like I said last week on the show, I don't have to give you any fancy 5-star review. Look up on Google because I am your 5-star review. They have done some work on my heating and AC unit. As a matter of fact, just had to call Jason this weekend. We had a noise coming from the unit outside, the outside unit.
Would it be outside?
Me and Jason have a little inside joke going on about that, but it was something coming from the outside unit, outside in the bedroom, not to be confused with the underneath unit that is underneath our house in the crawl space. And he comes by the next morning, fixes it up, and we're good to go. I haven't seen the bill for that yet, so that's a little worrisome. But we'll I'm sure it'll be good. But yeah, I've known these people for a long time. Known Mark and Jason, had played ball back in the day with them, went to school with them, been rafting with them. Good people, they do good work, and they'll treat you right. Tell them the Morgan Thomas Show sent you.
Good people. By the way, Jason, second base, Allen, shortstop.
That's right.
I mean, no better defensive alignment. You're not getting any balls up the middle on the diamond in that case.
True story.
And then Morgan, keeping the score on the bench. That is like the legit team there. But again, thank you, Jason, for sponsoring the show and being with us, man. I think it's like 2 seasons now, so thank you so much. I appreciate it, and helping us make sure that we can keep producing this bad boy and having the great quality that we always do. But we're going to get into our picks against the spread and call it a night before we get done. And as we do picks against the spread for the ACC, and then we do top 3 games of the week. Well, I added a 4th game just for fun, but let's get into it's week 15 now, almost over. I'm going to pull up some of these games here. I didn't have it already, as you know. Like I said, I want to tell you this. When I first started the show, did I not tell you that I was going to screw something up?
You did. It's a fact, right. But I mean, really, it's like a 90% chance every show.
There's a 90% chance every show, but I knew just being me and you, something would happen. And, I got us banned. I got the first video banned, and then I don't have the games up like I should. But here we go. All right, so Pittsburgh, 5-5 overall, 7 p.m. game, Thursday night. So this one's coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech, 3-6 overall. They're traveling to Atlanta. And looks like it's going to be 65 degrees, sunny. And, well, it's 7 o'clock, so, getting dark at that point. But Pittsburgh is a 7-point favorite in this game. Overall, it looks like Georgia Tech has the worst defense, but a slightly better offense in this game. The last game, Georgia Tech lost to NC State 23-13. And, of course, Pittsburgh lost 52-17 to Clemson. So for me, I'm looking at 97% of the nation is picking Pittsburgh right now. I do feel like if you look at the Football Power Index, 73% chance that Pittsburgh will win this game. And I do want to lean more towards the defense in this case. They're 125 yards better per game on defense than Georgia Tech is. And they're actually not being outscored as far as points per game, but Georgia Tech is almost by 2 touchdowns. And now we're later on in the season, so this is definitely a trend. So I am going to say if their average points against is almost 14, and you give Pittsburgh 7, or you're not, 7, Pittsburgh has to get more than 7. I'm going to lean here, barring any injuries that you might tell me about. I don't know of any, but I'm giving Pittsburgh to cover this one, and I'm going to go with the population of 97% there.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Look, Pittsburgh's better on offense than Georgia Tech. They're better on defense than Georgia Tech, and their defensive line is going to make it real tough for Georgia Tech to do what they want to do, which is run the ball. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh in this one. Georgia Tech has been playing a little bit better ball, but they've got to not turn it over. If they're not turning the ball over, they're a pretty dangerous team, and they can kind of sneak up on you, but they've been turning it over all year. I would assume they're probably going to do the same thing on Thursday night. I'm taking Pitt.
Sebastian gets in and says Boston lost him some money. I mean, it hurt us too. We all hammered home BC, and just want to say sorry for that one. But yeah, we actually went 5-2 overall last week, or this past weekend, but that one was not it. Next one up, Wake Forest at Louisville. Louisville -2. This one's weird to me because Wake Forest is the underdog, barely an underdog. This is a 12 p.m. game on Saturday. Wake Forest is 4-3. Louisville is 3-7. The computer says Wake Forest is going to win by 4. And FPI says Wake Forest has a 51% chance of winning. So where is this Louisville being a favorite? I guess because they're at home? I don't know. Wake Forest has a better yards on offense, a little bit better yards on offense, but they don't have as good of defense, even though both defenses I think are pretty bad. But, they're not going to be able to stop each other. They're both going to be able to score, but I think that Wake Forest can score more. Now, here's another caveat. Wake Forest has last game played, Al, was November 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, excuse me, November 14th.
Okay.
This is going to be like a month of off time because of COVID. And not only that, they're having issues with COVID with their basketball team. I don't know what's going on with Wake right now. But, I mean, to me, I'm leaning towards taking Wake in the points just because, I mean, they can score. So, barring anything crazy, I mean, is there any injuries that I need to know about on this one?
Not that I know of, but Dylan gets in and says, Pitt might be without their quarterback, Kenny Pickett. And that's one of the reasons that made me change my pick weeks ago because their backup is an atrocity.
Now, if Pickett's out again, that completely changes everything on that one.
Yeah, it really does. I'm not sure what to do there. I still think Georgia Tech might turn the ball over to Pitt's defense. I don't know if Pitt's going to be able to move the ball right now. I'll probably hang with Pitt just because. But Wake Forest, I'm going Wake as well. They can score. Louisville's disappointed me all year. It's been kind of tough, but I think you have to go with Wake Forest here. They've covered on me a lot. I picked against them a lot this year, and they've continued to cover. So yeah, I think I'm probably going to still hang with Pitt on this one, and I'm going to go Wake as well. This is one of those reasons we shouldn't be picking on a Monday, because if we lose that Pitt game, I'm blaming it all on you on the show. I can promise you that.
Well, it doesn't say in the injury report currently on covers.com that Pickett is not playing. So.
Okay.
I'm going to go with covers.com. I'm going to stick with Pitt on this one. If he doesn't, we can void this game. We made this rule way long ago. Wake, I don't see any significant injuries either to the quarterback, and so I'm going to go with Wake plus on this one as well. So you and I are both the same here. Now we actually don't know Houston's picks, which I think is unfair.
Forfeit.
I don't. Sorry. We asked Houston for his picks. Now let me check my messages here.
Don't check them. Forfeit.
If I don't check them, then it is a forfeit, right? I mean, it's kind of like by rule.
I think that's only fair. Baby or no baby? I mean, I have two kids.
I mean,
get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we can get it done.
I mean, he was the one that put it upon himself that said he would get us his picks, and he didn't do it. He said he was supposed to get them to you, and you were supposed to read them on air. He didn't do it. I'm looking at 0-9.
I think he said he was going to get in the chat. I don't see anything in the chat either. So, All right. So next one, let's move on from that Wake Forest one. Next one, this is a top 25 matchup, Al.
Yeah.
Number 17, North Carolina versus number 10, Miami. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Miami favored to win this game, 67%, and they are a 3.5-point favorite according to Vegas. For me, though, I just know of all teams that North Carolina can hang. And so 3.5 points, I don't know, it's just not a lot for either team. And so this is kind of more of a straight-up winner type thing for me. And if I look at the Hurricanes, I'm looking to see if I see any, significant injuries. I don't really see any for Miami. And if I look at North Carolina, I don't really see any as either that would stand out to me. The latest one was be October 10th. So November 11th, one of their offensive linemen out for the season. So that's about a month ago, though. For me, the public is picking 59%. The computer says that the Tar Heels are going to win by 6. So I'm going to lean with the computer here. I'm going to go with the public as well. I'm going to take the Tar Heels plus the 3.5 because we know that they're a big play team. They put up 41 points per game right now. Their defense, not as good. Their defense is going to give it up. Last game, though, these two teams took it. 49-9 against Western Carolina, and for Miami, 48-0, 48-0 against against Duke, which is a garbage team. But I'm going with the Tar Heels on this one. I mean, this is the last game of the season for these two teams, so there's a lot at stake.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this should be a great game. I've kind of ridden the Tar Heels all season long and had them to cover almost every week. This is a tough one for me to pick because if you'll remember, I love to remind everybody about this, but I had Miami winning the Coastal Division back when there were divisions earlier in the year, and everybody told me I was crazy. Okay? Well, they've lost one game this year, ladies and gentlemen. Who's crazy? Okay? They did exactly what I thought they would do. De'Aaron King, okay, has done what we thought he would be able to do. Extend plays, make their offensive line look not so atrocious. He's made some plays for him. I've been really excited about what he's been able to do there. And that's kind of what I was thinking. They did that without their best defensive end, who opted out of the season, Gregory Rousseau. So what they've done has been all the more impressive. Look, this was a tough one to pick. I saw the line at 3. I liked it a lot better at 3 than I do at 3.5. But I'm taking Miami here. I think the fact that they both have good offenses, and UNC offense is a notch above, but Miami's defense is definitely above UNC's. UNC's defense has not been playing very well, and it's something you've been talking about for a couple of weeks. I think Miami's going to be able to get a few stops, and Miami's just going to be able to score a little more. I'm going to say they're going to win by 4 points and take the win. So I'm going to go with the Hurricanes.
And I would say this too. Sebastian gets in on chat and says they're dead to him. Basically, he's done with them. Miami 8-1 overall, 6-3 against the spread. The Tar Heels 7-3 overall, but only 4-6 against the spread. So not one of those teams that you can count on against the spread. And this is another thing. They're traveling. So traveling has been the stadium isn't the big deal, but still traveling does cause issues, I feel like. And so that's another concern there too. But I just lean on the computer on this one. The computer's saying I'm going to trust my AI on this one. Computer saying Tar Heels are going to win. I know that Tar Heels got an electric offense, so I'm going to go with it. But Sebastian says, let's go Allen. So I'm guessing he's done with me too on that one as well. Next one up, two teams that we're all really done with, and that is Duke at Florida State. Duke, a completely horrible team. Who knows what will happen with Chase Bryce throwing 15 interceptions and 2 fumbles and all this stuff. And with Florida State, do we even know if they're really going to win this game? The public, or even if they're going to play this game, rather. Right. The public has them at 57% favored, but the computer has Duke winning 24-21. Florida State minus 4.5 right now. I want to go with my emotion and say, give me Duke plus 4.5. Because both these teams are terrible. 22 points for, just about 22, 23 points for, and 36 points against for both these teams. So they're both bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I feel. I just don't know if I can trust Chase Bryce. 2,089 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That's the problem I have. The turnover margin for Duke. Let me look this up real quick because I love this. I just love and hate this. But turnover margin for Duke, minus 17. Before last week, they were minus 13. They've gotten minus 4 more since last week. They almost turning the ball over 2 times more than the other team on every game. So, 16 interceptions lost. 19 fumbles lost. Now, Florida State still, they've thrown a lot of interceptions too, 12, but only 3 fumbles lost. Their running game's a lot better for Florida State. And so for me, will Florida State have a team to win? Will they have enough? Sebastian's saying Duke is dead to him. David gets in, says that he'd like to see Chase Bryce put a whooping on Florida State. And for me as a Clemson fan, I want to be like, I can't pick Florida State. I just don't know, Al. I just don't know.
Again, this is not like it's a live show. You got plenty of time here.
All right. I'm going Florida State. I can't trust Duke. I really just can't. I don't know anything about Florida State, who they're going to be having on the field, if they're going to have any team on the field. I'm really honestly picking Florida State in hopes that it's a COVID cancellation.
Yeah. Look, well, the good news is I'm not going to lose a game to you on this because I'm picking FSU as well, as much as it pains me. Duke, FSU's dead to me. Duke is beyond dead to me. They've killed me all year, and I will not pick them.
Yeah, you're in the same line. Sebastian definitely, he hates both teams as well, and he's saying Duke's dead to him as well. You're beyond dead to him. You can't trust a team with that bad of a turnover margin. No. You really just can't.
Embarrassing.
All right, next up, and this is interstate rivalry here. Virginia. This is the last ACC game of the night. Virginia at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, Clemson just beat. By the way, Hendon Hooker, you cannot explain away that. I'm an Army guy, Al. I suffered through ungodly heat in the desert wearing long sleeves and a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
You cannot, and I know cold is worse because I hate the cold. Don't get me wrong. I hate the cold. But some people saying he had a brain disorder. Some people had a seizure. Some people said Walt said he might have COVID.
Don't say that.
From all that I have found, Hendon Hooker was just cold. I don't know how I feel about that, Al. As a military guy, I don't know if that's a good excuse for your brothers. Not for me. I don't give a crap about Hendon Hooker and Virginia Tech. But for your brothers that are on that team to know that you stopped playing after a fumble and the only diagnosis is that you were cold. I mean, that's a locker room discussion. If it wasn't something serious. Now, his dad came out and tried to stick up for him, but whose mom and daddy ain't going to stick up for you?
Right.
I mean, I could do something completely wrong, go to jail, and my mama would be like, he didn't do it. But he's innocent. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm moving on from that. I don't know if I say that because I can't trust Hendon Hooker. I can trust Brendan Armstrong. He's been doing better. They just beat Boston College, which I thought they weren't going to beat them. And Virginia Tech's now on a 4-game losing streak. So give me Virginia plus the 2 because they've got something clicking on offense. I don't know what it is, but it's something good.
Yeah, I had initially picked Virginia Tech on this one simply because it was a revenge game. About the ACC championship, they went down to the wire, a couple years ago or last year. I can't even remember when it was. But I think they had broken a big streak. Virginia had beaten Virginia Tech, and it was kind of crazy. And I like Herbert. Man, Herbert, that guy's a good running back. I don't want to put it all on Clemson, like not giving him any credit that we did earlier today. I mean, he's a good running back. He's a great player, and he deserved those rushing yards that he got, and he got them difficult up the middle of a good defense. So I wanted to pick Virginia Tech here at home, but they're just not playing good enough for me. And they don't have a good enough passing game, and we don't know what's going to happen with Hendon Hooker. Usually people don't play very well after they play Clemson as well. So I'm going to take Virginia in this as well.
And I get it. I get it, Bill. You say he has a medical condition. Show it to me. Show me the article that says the medical condition, and then I will stop. But his dad came out and said something, but never said what the condition was. Richmond Times-Dispatch says struggled with cold weather. I don't know. I can't trust him. That's all I'm saying. I don't care if he had a medical condition or not. He was out there for 3 quarters. I don't know. But so I'm going with Virginia on that one. Alan's going with Virginia as well. Going to write that one down. 8 p.m. game. That's going to be a late night game for him, so who knows if he's going to play. But Burmeister really did better. I mean, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he did fine.
So, I don't think they'll be negatively hurt. But I was really high on Hendon Hooker going into the season. But he really, hasn't been kind of like a game changer for them. And Armstrong seems to be doing a lot of the right things. Let's go into our top 3 games of the week. Not top 3 games of the week, though, because I'm adding in a 4th one. But let's pull up the top 25, Al. And let's go to the first one, Washington at Oregon. Now, I don't know a lot about Washington at Oregon, other than it's Washington at Oregon. Now, the FPI says Oregon 74% chance to win. And Washington has played 3 or 4 games. Washington's played 4 games. Oregon's played 5. Washington 3-1 overall, 22, ranked 22nd. And then Oregon played 5 games, 3-2 overall. Oregon just ended up losing to Cal and Chase Garbers, by the way. I did watch a little bit of that game, but it wasn't really, anything super. Nothing really super stood out to me on that one. But Oregon's defense has been struggling a little bit. 419 yards per game right now, compared to Washington's, which is 346. Washington is +6 going into this. And let me tell you what the computer says to maybe help you out here. Computer says Washington's going to lose by 2, 29-27. There's no stats on the public consensus because, as you always get on to me, this is Monday. But the oddshark.com, whatever reason, the Ducks play a lot better at home than they do on the road. Washington's offense has scored more than 27 points only once this season. The Huskies probably don't have the firepower to keep up with the Ducks in this one. And so that's the opinion from the expert over at oddshark.com. Now that gives them, the spread is, what did I say, -6? Yeah. So can Oregon beat them by more than 6? I'm going to go actually with the Huskies because, if anything, this shows you my confidence level here, Al. I own a Husky puppy who's in the bed right now asleep. So I'm going with the Huskies.
Yeah, this was a game I kind of went back and forth. Oregon is not the team exactly we thought they were going to be. They've had a bad loss or 2. I can't remember if they've lost 1 or 2. They just hadn't been what we thought. We talked about them as a fringe playoff contender when we started this thing. Didn't know exactly what they'd have on offense, but their defense was supposed to be really good, and that has simply not been the case this year so far. Again, I don't know that Washington can score a lot of points. Washington did me wrong at the beginning of the year when I bet on them, but I'm going to go with the Huskies in this as well to cover. I don't like it. I like Oregon at home usually, but I'm going to have to go against the grain here and stick with you, unfortunately. So I won't be gaining a game there.
By the way, Billy gets in, said he heard about Hendon Hooker's condition on Packer and Durham. Great way to call me out for the one time I don't watch Packer and Durham this morning. I wish I would have watched it. I should have watched it.
And a little sass from Billy. He says, "But whatever," to end that as well. And I think well deserved. But
well deserved. I mean, you know what? I can give it as much as I can dish it out. So, Billy,
he's putting one of these from
I love
elementary school at you.
I love it. Whatever.
Brutal.
I love it. I mean, you know what? we love Billy and his wife Deborah as well,
Absolutely.
for being fans for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at Roanoke Times. I don't know, but whatever. Uh, Washington at Iowa, and I'll tell you, I don't know this one either. But there's
Wisconsin.
what
Wisconsin at Iowa.
Wisconsin. I knew what I was saying. Wisconsin at Iowa. Number 16, Wisconsin. Number 19, Iowa. Wisconsin, not on a good streak here. They've lost to Northwestern and they've lost to Indiana back-to-back games. And they're 2-2 overall. They're somehow still ranked after losing 2 games, but they lost to 2 pretty good teams. Iowa right now 5-2 overall, with currently on, it looks like, a 5-game win streak. So they lost to Northwestern, and then they lost to Purdue their first game of the season. So since then, they've kind of righted the ship, including a win against Minnesota at Minnesota and a win against Penn State at Penn State. So Iowa is definitely on the up and up right now. And it's a dead even game. So Football Power Index, 68.4% chance to Wisconsin. Wisconsin actually coming out right now as the underdog, +1. Originally, yep, no, that's what I had. That's what I had earlier today. So Wisconsin, the underdog, and let's see what the computer says. We've got Wisconsin losing by 4, 30-26, and there's no public data consensus right now. But right now, the Badgers are 2-2 against the spread, and Iowa's 4-2-1 against the spread. Really, to be honest with you, I can't trust Wisconsin because I picked them against Northwestern, and they burned me. And I thought they were going to do well. Alan, they burned you as well, I believe. Houston ended up winning that one. Indiana, we picked Indiana, so I'm not hurt about that one. I just don't think, when I watch Wisconsin, and I've actually watched both those games, their offense is just nothing to be happy or excited about. Their defense is good, 12 points per game right now. But I got to go with Iowa. They're able to score. Wisconsin, what's weird is that they had big games, but against trash teams in the Big Ten, Michigan and Illinois, and so they had their scoring games, but those teams weren't really that good. Now looking back at it, so I'm going to go with Iowa to cover and basically win the game at home.
Yeah, I'm picking Iowa as well. It's one of those, just 1-point underdog at home, kind of an evenly matched team. You usually give those to the home team. That's what I'm going to do here. Iowa's kind of been up and down. They've disappointed me a little bit, not covering a couple times that I had picked them, but I'm going to take them this time.
And the next one is Oklahoma at West Virginia. We actually picked this one earlier, I think, and I think we all, I'm not exactly sure, but they had to reschedule this game. So this is a rescheduled game. Oklahoma going to West Virginia. West Virginia is a decent team overall. The public consensus right now is 69% towards Oklahoma, but the computer predicts a 12-point win, and it's a 13.5-point spread. I'm actually going to go with West Virginia on this one. I know this is kind of shocking, but I got to go with the computer one. But if you look, let's see. There was something else. So West Virginia, they got 2 wide receivers out two wide receivers and a tight end out as of December the 6th. So that's this weekend. They lost 3 big players on the offense, it looks like. So that's a concern there. When I look at Oklahoma, they got a ton of people out, but anybody recent, a safety and a wide receiver, Mims, questionable. And those 3 people were questionable for West Virginia as well. If you look at the Football Power Index, we've got 19% chance for West Virginia to win, 80% chance for Oklahoma. Oklahoma scoring 43 points per game, and West Virginia coming off a terrible loss, 42-6 to Iowa State. So is 13.5 enough? Can you go with the computer on that one? I'm going to reverse my choice and pick Oklahoma based on the statistics that I just looked up. So Oklahoma to cover 13.5 after looking at that. Not coming off a good game. That's a big deal.
Well, my plan here was to pick West Virginia all along because I knew you were going Oklahoma, and you went Oklahoma anyways. I really thought you were going to go West Virginia. I was like, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to go Oklahoma then. So now you all screwed me up. You can't tell you're going to pick West Virginia and then you're going to pick Oklahoma
No, I
and
can
then
do
West
whatever I
Virginia and
want.
then Oklahoma again.
I can do whatever I
You are
want.
killing me here because I want to go Oklahoma. I think their offense is doing really well right now. And West Virginia, I'd like to pick West Virginia. I have faith in that team for the most part. I think they can score, and their defense shows up at times, but that's the problem. It's only at times. And then they'll have this inexplicable game like the one at Iowa State. I mean, that's just crazy. They don't deserve to be losing by that much. It's just West Virginia is a team I can't trust. I can't trust from week to week. And so I have to take Oklahoma here.
Hart gets in and says the Sooners are on a tear. Their offense is clicking. Al says pick Oklahoma. And then Hart says the QB coach of he's a great QB coach, so you got to go with him. So, yeah, I mean, and Bill, Four-Paws Bill, gets in and says, we're going to go an entire show without talking about Beamer. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't Spurs Up or what is the other show? Jackpot, Carolina Jackpot or whatever.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what Houston always says. If we want to get real redneck, we can do Carolina Jackpot show. But last game of the night, this one is who will get their first win. And Arizona State 0-2. They only played 2 games, but against their in-state rival Arizona Wildcats 0-4. -11 is the spread for Arizona State. Can Kevin Sumlin and the Wildcats get a win? Or will it be Arizona State getting another win against their rival for, I think, a third consecutive year? But right now, looks like it's 11.5-point spread. No public consensus on OddsShark, but Arizona is 1-3 against the spread, and the computer pick is 33-18 to Arizona State. So I'm just picking this one for 2 reasons. One, because one of those teams has got to get a win, and 2, because one of my friends that's a coworker she graduated from Arizona, so I'm going to try to throw her team in here tonight. But give me Arizona State to cover the spread. I just think they're a better team. They have a better quarterback, and so I'm going with unfortunately, her rival to win and cover.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think they are a better team and a better quarterback, and that's why I would go with Arizona State. But since you went Arizona State, and I want to gain 2 games on you this week, this is where I'm going to do one, and I'm going to get Arizona plus the 11.5 to cover because I know nothing about really either team for the most part. I've followed Arizona State a little bit over the years, but just know really nothing about them this year. I've been too focused on the ACC picks that we've been making. Arizona is somehow going to find a way to come up big for me in this game.
Now, Sebastian getting in, Al, saying, is there anyone that you feel most confident about? I know we always get this from James. James was in earlier, but I don't see him in the chat now. But anyone that you're most confident about heading into this one of the ones we've picked?
I will tell you this week in particular has been a brutal week picking games. I wasn't really confident about any of them going in. I would be confident about Pitt if I knew Kenny Pickett was playing. So that's kind of what I'm gonna leave you with there. Georgia Tech has turned the ball over a ton this year. If Pitt has their starting quarterback Kenny Pickett in the game, I would feel the most confident about that game. But this, like I said, this was a tough week. I wasn't feeling real confident about any of them, to be honest with you. But if Pickett's playing, I'd go with Pitt.
Some of the ones I'm just glancing at and I'm feeling, this is tough because it's ACC. We know the ACC the best because we do them week in, week out. We don't know these other top games of the week because we don't really analyze them as well as we wish we could. But I agree with your Pitt analysis. I'm looking and I think, to me, I'm liking this Wake game +2. I really do. And I actually like this Virginia +2 because I think that Virginia is doing really well right now. They got some momentum against them. Virginia Tech just got beat up by Clemson. And, Virginia has a solid defense. So I'm not really worried about their defense against Virginia Tech's running game. And we know that Virginia Tech, that's all they really have. And we know that Armstrong is a gamer. So, I like that. Actually, I like the Virginia game the best. And then, and then I would say Pitt next, and then maybe Wake is my top three that I like the best. But anyway, so that's our week 15. Is that week 15, week 14? With week 15 picks against the spread for college football. If you missed anything tonight, we started out the show talking about last week and giving you a recap of everything. Then we talked at length about the Virginia Tech game that Clemson played this past weekend, and we finished with our picks against the spread. But thank you for joining in over on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're listening in on a podcast after the fact, we really appreciate it for getting in. And let us know how we're doing in the comments. We always try to improve and get better and provide you the content that you would like. But again, we are a Clemson-centric team first. Dylan, if you're listening, any of your suggestions will be null and void and, completely kicked out. But again, thanks so much for watching and listening. By the way, Bill says there is a new coach in the Midlands that we can start to make fun of and dislike, and his name is Shane Beamer. Shane Beamer, Walt said this plenty of times. Why? Why would you pick this guy? Well, really, to me, it's not so much why. The funniest part about this whole thing is the amount of good coaches that publicly came out and said, I've interviewed, but I told them no. There had to have been at least 5 of those coaches out there that said, you know what, I decided thanks, but no thanks. Only so many schools have the privilege of being turned down as much as South Carolina has. Rejected more than the ugly girl for prom. But Carolina, we know you're used to it. But again, thank you so much for watching Facebook, YouTube, or a podcast after the fact. We really appreciate it again. And as always, Tiger fans, we will see you at the top of the hill.